Alexa, what day is it?
It's Webinar Wednesday, and this week it's all about reading with a smart speaker. It's time to begin, so let's get started.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to this week's webinar. My name is Richard Orme, I'm from the DAISY Consortium, and I'm your host for today. Okay, let's get started. Some months ago, the DAISY Consortium conducted a survey which demonstrated that many of our members are really excited to explore the use of voice-controlled smart speakers. On our panel today, we have representatives from technology giants Amazon and Google, and also colleagues from DAISY members that have implemented services in the United States and in New Zealand. So at this point, I'm thrilled to hand over to our panelists who will introduce themselves and tell us how they can offer easy access to books and articles through a smart speaker.
Hi everyone, this is Joanna Hunt from Amazon. I lead the accessibility team for the Kindle Books organization, and I'm really excited to be with you all today to talk to you about how we can provide access to books and reading through our smart speaker systems and our Kindle devices.
Next up is Kiran.
Hello, I'm Kiran Kaja. I lead the accessibility program for Search and Assistant at Google, and I'm here to talk about how the Google Assistant can help you in your reading tasks.
Thank you, Kiran. Now ask Scott to introduce himself, please.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott White. I'm the Director of Sponsored Technology Programs for the National Federation of the Blind. And today we'll be highlighting and demonstrating our skill that we have for the Amazon device that we brought out.
Thank you, Scott. Now let's hear from our colleagues from New Zealand. First of all, from Blind Low Vision New Zealand, Thomas and Geraldine.
And kia ora, it's Thomas Bryan, and I'm the National Technology Advisor. And Alexa has been a bit of a watershed for us, and as you'll hear in our presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Geraldine Lewis, and I'm the Library and Studios Manager from Blind Low Vision NZ. I'm going to discuss our Amazon Alexa Pilot Usability Study Report and also rolling out our Alexa Library skill to library members.
Thank you so much to that. Now let's hear from Sarah and Jarek.
Hello, my name is Jarek. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Sona Interactive. We are developing accessible applications for mobile phones, web, and smart speakers. And we'll be talking about our Sona Player and our Sona Library project.
And my name is Sarah, and I'm with Jarek on this one.
Thank you so much. So in the session that we're running today, I'll give you a brief overview before handing over to Joanna. So Joanna will talk to us about Amazon, Alexa, Kindle, and Audible. Then we'll hear from Kiran all about reading with the Google Assistant. Then Scott will tell us about NFB Newsline and their voice-powered services for that. We'll hear then from colleagues from Blind Low Vision New Zealand and the company that work with them, Sona Library. And then we'll leave plenty of time, I hope, for discussion and questions and answers at the end. So let's turn the floor over to Joanna and hear about accessibility at Amazon.
Thanks, Rich. You can go ahead forward to the next slide and we can just hang out there for a few minutes. We'll start by talking a little bit about Amazon's approach to accessibility overall. Accessibility is something that we take very seriously here at Amazon. It's something we've been committed to for a number of years, and our philosophy is really that we focus on building accessible applications with people with disabilities who work for everyone. And in my particular field, where I focus on reading and on books, there's nothing more valuable to me and more impactful than how we can provide access to reading. Today, I think our focus is a little bit more on how we can combine the power of our smart speakers and smart assistants and the Kindle Books library and Audible libraries to provide even greater access for people who have various disabilities. So Amazon's Smart Assistant, our favorite friend named Alexa, can really provide a considerable amount of support for customers with disabilities, and that can range from all different sorts of supports for home automation, to shopping workflows, to generalized communication and Q&A, just like most smart assistants. But today, what we really want to focus on is how Alexa can support reading. For us, reading and access to books is something that we believe is fundamental to supporting literacy at a large scale. And this is something that at Amazon we're very committed to, providing equal access to books for everyone, and most especially for people with disabilities. This includes access via voice-based experiences. Today, Alexa can read any book in a customer's Kindle library with just a really simple statement like, "Alexa, read my book." She can speak in many languages. Today, I think I started Alexa reading on somebody's speaker in the background. But today, Alexa can actually read books in many different languages. She can read to you in English, German, Japanese, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Hindi. And we're committed to continuing to teach her more and more languages. And if you're familiar with the different specific locales of where Alexa is offered, you will also notice that she will actually read to you in your local accent. So where Rich is reading in London, Alexa will read to you with a British accent. Where I am in Seattle, Alexa will read to me with an American accent. And where my parents live in the Ottawa Valley, Ontario, she will read with a Canadian accent and occasionally a French Canadian accent. With Alexa, you can start reading very quickly with your most recent book. You can ask her to do things like read faster or slower to find the speed that you enjoy most. You can ask her to read a specific book just by saying, "Alexa, read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone." And you can do that because you've either purchased the book or you have access to it through some of our subscription programs like Kindle Unlimited or Prime Reading. She's going to start reading that book right away. And you can also ask her to move forwards or backwards in your book by chapter, just by saying a simple next or previous to go forward by about 30 seconds. Or you can ask for specific chapter titles as well. Jump to chapter 5. Alexa, go to chapter 18 in your book. And if you, like me, like reading using more than one device, Amazon's WhisperSync technology can help Alexa and every other device that you might be reading on pick back up no matter where you are, no matter what device you're using, and start reading from the place where you left off. But Alexa doesn't only focus on Kindle books. Rich, you can go ahead to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about Audible as well. Audible offers professionally narrated audiobooks across many, many different genres. We actually offer the world's largest selection of Audible books that are available through Alexa with just the sound of your voice. When you ask Alexa to read an audiobook, she's going to start playing your most recently played audiobook from your Audible library. In the same way you can do with Kindle books, you can ask Alexa to pause or resume your Audible book as well. You can do the same types of navigation by going to the previous or next chapter. You can go to a specific chapter. And if you prefer to go to bed while you're listening to your audiobook, you can also ask Alexa to set a sleep timer for you to be sure that your book doesn't play all the way through to the end while you have fallen asleep. You can also ask Alexa to read your Audible book faster or slower, and you can ask her to go backwards if you've missed a part of your book and want to go back by a certain amount of time. But she can do other things as well. Alexa can tell you what's in your library. What books do you have in your Audible or Kindle library? And in the same way that you can with Kindle books, Alexa can also maintain your position with your Audible book across many devices. So when you're switching between your smart speaker and your phone as you're walking your dogs outside like I do on a daily basis right now, I never need to worry about where I am in my Audible book. When you're a member of Audible, you can also ask Alexa to purchase additional books from the Audible library and Audible catalog with available credits that you have. If you're not a member, you can even ask her to start a trial, a 30-day free trial with Audible as well. But even beyond that, if you have multiple Alexa devices in your home, you can ask Alexa to play your book everywhere, which means no matter where you are in your room, you can always be listening to your book. Alexa is fully integrated with your Audible account and with your Kindle accounts. And so anything that you can do in your Kindle reading applications in terms of knowing what books you have, knowing what audiobooks you have paired with your Kindle books, how you want to move between devices, Alexa can help you navigate all of that. But she can also quiz you and teach you a little bit more about the different characters within your books. And you can even ask Alexa to launch you into choose your own adventure reading stories for the more adventurous storytellers amongst us. And I think that's my time for now. I believe we're turning things over to Kieran from Google to talk about the Google Smart Assistant.
Thank you, Joanna. Again, I'm Kiran Kaja from Google. I lead the accessibility program for Search and Assistant at Google. I'd like to start off by, next slide, please, Richard. I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about what the Google Assistant is and what it can do. You can think of the Google Assistant as your own personal Google. Most of us probably have used Google Search once or twice. The Google Assistant is probably our next incarnation where we are trying to help users get to information quickly and easily, and by using multiple interaction models such as voice, in addition to being able to ask with text. The other interesting thing about the Google Assistant is it can help you across multiple devices. You may have smart speakers at home, you may have your smartphone, be it Android or iOS or a tablet or a Chromebook or any of the other different types of wearable devices that we support, such as headphones, smartwatches, etc. And your Google Assistant is available across all of those devices to help you. We support millions of actions. There are tons of things you could do. To learn more, you could check out google.com/assistant/explore. And then the easy way to do that, to just talk to the assistant, and I hope I don't turn on anybody's Google Assistant, is to use either Hey Google or OK Google. Next slide, please, Richard. Some of you may have heard about Google Playbooks. It's a service from Google that also includes audiobooks. You will be able to purchase audiobooks from Playbooks and listen to them on your phone or computer. And you can also ask the assistant to read those audiobooks from Playbooks on your smart speaker, such as the Google Home or any of the third-party manufacturers that the Google Assistant is built into. All you have to do is say, hey Google, read my book, or say, hey Google, read Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. Looks like we have Harry Potter fans here. And if it's in your Playbooks library, Google Assistant will go ahead and play it for you. You can adjust speed, skip forward to the next section, previous chapter, next chapter, etc., and all by voice commands. And again, you have these books available on all your devices that run the assistant, such as smartphones and headphones, etc. Stepping away from books, I know this is primary interest for DAISY members here, but the assistant also is quite helpful for getting access to other types of information. Google's mission is to organize world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So we want to look beyond just books. So I want to take a minute or two to talk about other ways you could use the assistant to get information. For instance, assistant can get you access to hundreds of news sources and podcasts from all over the world. And we also have a feature called topical news, where you can ask the assistant for specific news on a topic. So, you could ask about, which is topical, which is like news about coronavirus in the Bay Area, or anything, any topic that you have a particular interest in. What the assistant will do is scour through the internet, find news sources for you, and actually use the text-to-speech, natural sounding text-to-speech engine to read those news back to you. Then it also sends you a link to the news articles to your phone so that you can actually read it in the future if you like. Again, you can also just say the name of the podcast, and the Google Assistant will pick it up. Say, hey Google, play Blind Bargains podcast, for example. Another interesting feature, I know we're talking about speakers, but I thought a lot of us might actually have a smartphone, Android smartphone, so I thought I'll highlight it, is in March, we introduced a new feature called Read It, where you can ask your Google Assistant on an Android smartphone to read any web page out loud. So all you have to do is say, hey Google, read it, or read this page. And what it'll do is it'll actually go ahead, skim through the page, find the text that's most relevant, and read it out to you. You may wonder why this is important if you're blind and if you already have a screen reader. The good thing with this one is the Google Assistant knows what's the most important content. We have web pages that have a lot of clutter. You have share links and all of those right in the middle of the text, and there is stuff that's not really relevant in the middle of the text. So it cleans up all of that and gets you to the text of the article. You can adjust the speed at which Assistant reads these articles. You can also select different voices, and we support 42 languages in Assistant at last count, I believe. And next slide, please. We have, for more information, we have Assistant Accessibility video series on YouTube. The link for this is goo.gle/A11Y-assistant. Thank you, and I believe it's Scott from NFB next.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Scott White. I'm the Director of Sponsored Technology Programs for the National Federation of the Blind. Today we're going to be talking about our Alexa skill. I want to start off in just giving you a brief rundown of what NFB Newsline is, some of the features. I'm not going to be able to cover everything here, of course, but we'll be able to cover some. Okay, so what is NFB Newsline? It is an audio information source. We currently feature over 500 different publications. Now, on the service, you're going to feature, it's featuring state publications. We have national and international publications, as well as we have a wide variety of different magazines. Now, to talk a little bit more about our skill. The NFB Newsline skill, we developed that in November of 2018. Is when it came out and was made public. A little bit of background about the skill. The skill is designed to go ahead and directly work rather than you having to put in your individual codes. NFB Newsline is a secure system, so what you would have to do is we issue you basically a username and password, so you have codes to use that. And on the app, you don't have to go and do anything. Basically, you just put it directly into the device, and it's all done through voice, which really helps out for people maybe if they don't have an actual smartphone that they use to set up the the Amazon device. So that really is helpful. Okay, now the first time you log in, it's going to say that it doesn't recognize the device. Then, like I was mentioning, you're going to have to put in your particular codes there. So it's going to be an identification code that's like 6 digits, and then a security code, which is going to be 4 digits. Okay, so I actually have the device tied in today here, so we're going to go ahead and do a live demonstration of that. Okay, and you would activate the skill by asking Alexa, open National Federation.
Welcome to NFB Newsline. Hello, Scott White. What would you like to read?
The New York Times.
Reading in New York Times dated May 13th, 2020. In the Business Financial Desk section.
Okay, turn that down there. Okay, so all the commands have to be preceded by National Federation. We have to do that to go ahead and direct the commands to our skill. Now you can read other publications very simply by going ahead and saying,
On Wednesday, as economy
Alexa,
struggled,
ask National Federation to read the Boston Globe.
reading in Boston Globe dated May 13th, 2020. In the arts section of the Boston Globe.
And then you can easily switch publications like that. Now you can go ahead and actually change the speed. We're going to talk about the presentation of articles. You can go ahead and change the speed of the articles by saying,
this July 4th
Alexa,
holiday, you'll be
ask National Federation to read much faster.
I'm so grateful to all the fans who asked
Alexa,
this, and
ask National Federation to read much faster.
The groundbreaking biographical hip-hop show about the life of Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton won 11.
And you can go ahead and slow it down. So let's take it back down to the voice that we started with.
All of the original Tony Award winners.
Alexa,
Miranda S. Hamilton.
ask National Federation to read much slower.
What spoiled Netflix's
Alexa,
Hollywood spoilers?
ask National Federation to read much slower.
By Matthew Gilbert, Globe staff.
Now we have several voices on the system. What you're listening to now is the Paul voice, and that's one of our more human quality voices. We next switch to our female human quality voice that we have.
Upon the time and then number
Alexa,
106.
ask National Federation to change voice Kate.
Now, though, spoilers ahead, I can be more specific about what didn't work for me.
And next we have another voice that is more of a computerized type voice, but a lot of people, including myself, really love this voice.
Period stylings and the
Alexa,
commanding.
ask National Federation to change voice eloquence.
A gay black writer and a black actress make an Oscar-winning movie. A young Rock Hudson falls in love with a black.
And we'll go ahead and switch it back to the Paul voice.
So many of the
Alexa,
horrible things.
ask National Federation to change voice Paul.
In Once Upon a Time and then number 160.
Okay, and how do I move from article to article? All of NFB Newsline, all the different access methods that we have, including the Amazon device, you can go and move from articles and sections very quickly. So let's do the article.
To be a simultaneously whimsical
Alexa,
and profound.
next.
In the business section of the Boston Globe, there are 9 articles.
Okay, and that's the way that you can go ahead and move. You can also could say previous as well. You can go ahead and read different issues. So for example, I could ask it to list the issues, and it would list the one for today, yesterday, and then the one for Sunday if one was published. And also, as you're reading the individual newspaper, if you say, well, don't want to know what section I want to read, but you want to see a list of those sections, you can do.
He declined to provide
Alexa,
a total.
Ask National Federation to list sections.
You can choose from the following sections. Section 1 is arts. Section 2 is business. Section 3 is editorial opinion. Section 4 is foreign. Section 5 is life arts and lifestyle. Section 6 is local
Alexa,
obituary.
Number of cases,
ask
making it
Alexa,
impossible to independently confirm the
You can jump to any section by saying go to section. And
company's number 160.
Alexa,
Assertion.
ask
Clark said the
Alexa.
Amazon knows how many cases have afflicted its.
Well, she's not being that cooperative, as you see. Sometimes that you do have that particular issue. But what you would do is basically you can say Alexa, and then you would say it would list the sections as you heard, and then it'd say go to section 5. I also can go ahead and ask for an email. So I can go ahead and ask, I could say, Alexa, ask National Federation to send me this article, and then that would come to my email inbox. Also can ask it to send me that section, and that will be emailed to me as well as a publication. So that's a small sample of the Amazon skill. We also support the Google Home device. Now, we do not have a skill for the Google Home, but actually through the facility of being able to make a phone call, you can use another access method on the Google Home where you're actually making a phone call to an NFB Newsline, and then you can issue a set of commands to make it press the certain touch tone tones and issue those commands. Finally, I want to go ahead and draw people's attention to a couple of documents. Now, there's a full video presentation that I did on the Amazon Alexa device, runs about 2 hours, and that's on YouTube. That will be included with the materials that Richard was talking about posting later. Okay, we have also that's going to be there is an Alexa command sheet with the commands that I went over and several more. There's another one document that we're going to have posted, and that's the how-to booklet, and the how-to booklet is going to cover other types of access methods that we didn't have time for today. Also, you can find more information about the Amazon device and all the other things that we offer with NFB Newsline at nfbnewsline.org. Finally, if someone wants to contact me, my email address is swhite@nfb.org. Thank you very much.
Scott, thank you so much for that, and great that demo works so well and who knows with devices triggering all around the world, but it seems to be going well so far. Let's see how things are in New Zealand, and we're going to hear the concept of introducing an Alexa skill in blind low vision New Zealand.
Hi, listeners, and Richard, thanks very much. It's Thomas Bryan. I'm the National Technology Advisor. And so my role is really looking at new and emerging technology and how we can bring that to our organisation, out to clients, and obviously training and support that we need for our staff. So what started us on this journey? Well, I guess unfortunately or fortunately, I'm very much responsible for that. I was following a number of discussions online at CSUN and a few other events, and saw Alexa several years ago and thought this could be a great device for us and our services. I pitched the idea to our CEO at the time and chair of the board, another senior management team, and they saw the potential that I saw. And I guess from there we moved forward to looking at what are the best services, and our first service up was going to be our library service. And from there on, I guess the story is, we now have that wonderful speaker advising our clients as to the books available for them. Now I'll hand over to Geraldine.
Hello everyone. Our organisation undertook an Alexa usability study to investigate how our skill appealed to users of our library. We had 40 participants in the study over the age of 18. It was a great success, and some of the key findings from the study were: firstly, the interface is easy, intuitive, and human-like. People said they didn't have to push and find buttons. They enjoyed the sheer simplicity and convenience of it. Secondly, they said it enabled them to stay connected. They saw it as a valuable companion, especially for people experiencing isolation. It enabled them to share activities with family members. Thomas is going to say a couple of more points.
Right. I guess the other thing that came out of the study was that people found that they, for the first time, for many of them, this was a great way to be connected. A lot of people who provided feedback, this was their first time really being connected online and being able to ask for so much information. They really found that giving them so much more independence, access to information, and without having to learn a whole host of skills or a whole lot of commands, etc., like most of us do when learning how to use a screen reader with technology. Back to you, Geraldine.
Next slide, please, Richard. So when our library team was handed the Alexa from our IT development team, we were initially given it with no resources. We took it home, tried to set it up, and everyone struggled initially. And that was a great learning for us, that we needed resources and support wrapped around it to roll it out, as it was a national rollout. So firstly, it was about creating awareness across our organisation. I sent one out to each office, and then we either attended at the office or showed them on Zoom how to use it and demonstrated it. And uptake of that was that we actually got some of those staff who became volunteers, and we left a device in each office for them to use. Then we set up a group of key staff who needed to be part of the rollout. This included staff such as the contact centre, the communications team, our technology staff. Then, very importantly, we employed a library device volunteer coordinator, and her role has been to create training manuals, lots of resources, recruit and train volunteers across the country, and coordinate visits between volunteers and clients. We also have someone who liaises with the developer over development and maintenance and undertakes user testing, and we have another staff member who works on resource development such as YouTube videos. Then we had to create a workforce of tech-savvy volunteers. So this included demonstrations to member groups, to library book groups, to community groups, to attending at blind, low vision pop-up offices around the country to recruit volunteers. Our number of volunteers are growing. We had 0 when we started. We now have 48 volunteers in 19 locations across most of New Zealand. We still have some areas where we don't have any. After setting people up, we then follow up with people, just checking in with them that they can actually use their device and are using it. Next slide, please, Richard. Our biggest surprises have really been that the phenomenal uptake of it with our largely older clientele who seem to have taken up with relative ease. For example, near the beginning, we sent an email to a few hundred clients in the Auckland area. Out of that group, within a couple of weeks, we had 115 take it up with the help of volunteers and 138 take it up without volunteers. We're continuing our countrywide promotion of the Alexa from area to area. So with supporting statistics for our rollout, we currently have around about 4,000 library members. So in January 2019, shortly after the skill went live, we had 117 unique users. In January this year, we have 724 active users, and we have 1,463 members who have activated our skill. And this is a much faster and higher uptake of this device and other devices that we've recently rolled out. So member feedback on this, it really reflects the initial usability report that we did. People say that it's enhanced their life, that it's amazing technology, and it's like a friend to them. So most of our feedback has been positive. I'm now going to hand over to Yarrick and Sarah from Sona.
Hi everyone, thanks Geraldine. This is Sarah Chin from Sona Interactive. So we are a technological startup based in New Zealand who specialize in mobile and voice applications. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our solution Sona Library today and hand it over to my co-founder Yarrick to talk more about the technical details of how things work and how you can get involved as well before coming back and wrapping up our segment of the presentation. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge the super special work of Blind Low Vision NZ. We're very lucky to have worked with them to develop the great solution that you just heard about. And it's through that experience that we realized that more organization could benefit from a voice solution like that and being able to access accessible library content using smart speakers. So we became more and more involved in the field of accessible reading services and began to see some common pain points. And that's why we went on to develop Sona Library, an all-in-one solution for accessible reading services with 3 key components. So the first one is a reader where end users will be able to use smart speakers, mobile and web browser to access content, and user and content management as well as content exchange. So for today's purposes, we'll focus on the smart speaker reader. And I just want to emphasize that it is a flexible solution we're providing. We can connect it to whatever IT system you have set up. So I'll now hand it over to Jarek to talk about how the solution works.
Thank you, Sarah. So our Sona Library consists of Sona Player, which is available on Alexa, Amazon Alexa, on Google Home, and also on Bixby. And basically, it allows to find a book, and you can use advanced search engine to look for the book by providing author, title, genre, or keywords. We also support bookshelf. We support multiple bookmarks, sleep timer, recommendations, table of contents, synopsis, analytics, and also different types of content. So it's not only books, you can also listen to magazines, newspapers, and podcasts. And our Sona Player works with any accessible audio format, including DAISY, EPUB, or MP3. And Richard, question to you. We can play either the video of one of the members using Sona Library, or we can do a live demo.
We haven't got a lot of time, but you choose which one you would like to do with the limited time available.
Okay, so maybe I'll try the live demo. Alexa, open Sona Library.
Welcome back. Would you like to continue playing Moby Dick or The Whale by Herman Melville?
No.
What book would you like to read?
Moby Dick by Herman Melville.
I found Moby Dick, or The Whale by Herman Melville. This book is 24 hours and 37 minutes long. To continue reading from the last moment, say continue. To read from the beginning, say start. Or, choose one of the following: table of contents, or description.
Start.
Great. Enjoy your book.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings
Alexa,
are in the public.
Stop.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay, so this is how our Sona Player works, and it works very similarly on Google Home as a Google action, and also on Bixby. And can we please move on to the next slide? So we heard it from many colleagues around the world, and we understand the situation, what is happening during the COVID lockdown, and we also understand that people are basically asked to stay at home, and the physical delivery of content is limited. Therefore, we would like to announce something today. We would like to offer our access to our Sona Library free of charge to any individual or any organization that would like to share the content to its members. So at the moment, we provide 12,000 books coming from public domain. These are the audiobooks from LibriVox. And any organization, if you would like to make your content available, we would be more than happy to help you to share your books to your members. And can we move on to the next slide? So how to sign up? It's actually very simple. So if you're an individual and you would like to listen to our books, all you need to do is to contact your member organization and ask them to provide us a verification of your print disability. And if you're an organization, all you need to do is to contact us directly, and we will provide you with an online tool which will allow you to manage eligible users. And from that moment, all you need to do is to launch Sona Library on your Alexa or either on Google Home. And I will hand it over back to Sarah.
So I just want to talk a little bit about why we're doing this, and hopefully it's something that everybody can resonate with. We do believe that people with print disability should be able to access whatever content they want, whenever, wherever they are. So this is why we built Sona Library with a huge emphasis on content sharing, so that accessible libraries can be empowered to share their books with each other for more people to read. And that's in the spirit of the Marrakesh Treaty. But we also think the tools that people use to access library content is a huge part to access to information as well, beyond just what content is available. So we can see, just like Jarek said, during various lockdown measures during COVID, became really clear that an easy way to access books and articles online is more important now. So while we already have mobile and web browsers, there will always be people who are going to struggle with screens and buttons. And this is why we think the intuitive nature of smart speakers can make a real difference in helping people using, reading services online. And that's our part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to all of our wonderful panelists for some great information there and some very smooth demonstrations, I have to say. I've got a whole bunch of questions lined up, and the first block really relates to so very polished demonstrations. You're used to using these devices. What kind of efforts are there? I think this is mainly to Kieran and to Joanna, to ensure that these wonderful technologies support the accents that are used, say, in the global south. This comes from Abraham in Zimbabwe. And then perhaps a related question is, what about folk with physical disabilities using augmentative technologies? And I know some folk maybe with less clear speech. What's your kind of observations on working with folk with accents, different languages, and with speech impediments? Maybe to Joanna and Kieran to start with.
Kieran, would you like to start with the Google answer?
Yeah, I can go first. As I said, we support the Google text-to-speech engine supports nearly 40 languages on Android and also on Chrome OS. And you may use, with Android, aside from the assistant, with Android or Chrome OS, you may use third-party text-to-speech engines that should give you access to a lot more voices and languages. The Google Assistant at this point supports close to 42 languages, and we are constantly adding support for new languages so that the assistant can speak more and more languages.
Kieran, as I interpret the question, Abraham's question at least was more about the recognition of.
Yes, I'm coming to that also.
Sorry. Okay.
So that's the on the voice output side. On the recognition side, we have a couple of initiatives at this point to understand. Again, we recognize, we put in a lot of effort to recognize accents and languages. And for people who may have speech impairments, I would suggest you go take a look at two projects that we've announced. One is called Euphonia, and the other project is Project Understood. The way some of this speech recognition works is we need data from people with speech impairments to train the speech recognition models to understand those non-standard speech patterns. So Project Understood is an initiative that we have with a couple of nonprofits in the US and Canada to request users to provide us with their speech patterns so that we can improve the system. So it's a complicated challenge, but we have a couple of initiatives. I would I'll urge you to go look at Project Understood and Project Euphonia. I think it's spelled EUPHONIA. As far as accents are concerned, we are constantly adding newer languages and newer dialects and accents. As I said, we're almost up to 40 now, so I hope that answers the questions.
A very fulsome answer there. Probably we have to be a little bit briefer. Joanna, if you can,
Sure.
If you have more to add.
Yeah, I will echo a lot of what Kieran said about the complexity of training voice models to recognize different accents, and that's certainly work that is always underway. with Alexa as well. We're very committed to continuing to teach her more and more things. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was around access to the services offered by Alexa, even if you have speech challenges either by accent or language. When you use an Echo speaker with a screen, we have a feature available on our Echo speakers with screens, like our Echo Show devices, that we call Tap to Alexa, which provides you with an icon-based touch interface to access most of the commands available through Alexa. There's a standard set available, but you can add your own to create a custom interface that you can just touch the screen to ask her a question or ask her to read a book, whether Kindle or Audible, or pause, start, etc., all without using your voice at all, and she will voice back the responses. So that's another option while we're working to improve her speech recognition.
Thank you for that. I have lots of questions here about access to content. You both explained about access to the content that exists, for example, in Google Play Books, Kindle, and on Audible too. And we heard some great examples of where both with NFB and our New Zealand organisation about how they made a special library accessible. What about where someone has maybe college textbooks or their own materials? Are there any mechanisms that exist for people to be able to listen to those using these devices?
So this is Joanna from Amazon. I'll start. At this point, a lot of the access to content in Alexa is limited to what's available in the Kindle library. Textbooks by themselves often have different accessibility challenges all up because they're frequently published in what we would call a fixed format model, making it a little bit harder to get access to the text. So we are continuing to work through a lot of that stuff. Our approach on helping to provide access to other libraries of content very much aligns with what you saw today from the NFB Newsline team and the Blind Low Vision NZ team, where they're creating skills specific to their libraries of content. A lot of that comes down to who has the rights to make that content available. In terms of access to your own personal content and can that be read, that's something we're continuing to look into, and I would love to ask you to just keep paying attention to what we're doing on that front.
Thoughts from others on our panel about where folk maybe are in a college environment or a learning environment? Maybe they have articles from academic journals, Sonar or NFB Newsline or anyone. Scott, any comments on this, please?
No, not directly. All the content that we have is publicly available content.
I'd also say that if it's some kind of like reference material, you might want to use, so the smart devices, smart speakers are great for, at this point in time, I think they are great for leisure sort of reading experience. I know that like on Android, you could actually, if you use the Playbooks app, you could use EPUB books. But again, like if you're in a college setting, you might want to use a more classic interface like a computer or a laptop to read through those books. So this is my general thought on reference material and textbooks and stuff. But
so a clarification question to you then, Kiran. It's possible to take one's own content, EPUB content, and upload it to your Google Play Books library. Can you then use the assistant to listen to that, or is it only the material that's in from the store?
And only the audiobooks from the store at this point. So no, so you would be able to read it using the app and a screen reader on the phones, but not using the Google Assistant speakers.
Great. And a related question, there's quite a few questions around access to learning materials and so on. Again, this could be for either, what about listening to recordings of, say, a lecture or something like that? Or maybe if there's an online lecture, do these speakers provide any access to that? I guess maybe if it's on YouTube, that might work.
Yes, so YouTube, you can ask YouTube video content. is available through the smart displays that Google has, the Nest Hub and the Nest Hub Max, or any of the third-party displays that are Google Assistant enabled. YouTube Music and Play Music are available on all surfaces or on speakers. So that's the distinction. YouTube content is video content. You need a smart display to be able to play those if it's on YouTube. I would say the one way to do it would be if you use if you have a Play Music or YouTube Music subscription, you could upload the audio content into your library and ask the assistant to play it on any speaker. That's one way I can think of.
Interesting.
Richard, this is Jarek from Sona. Can we add to this?
Please do.
So there was a question about accessing academic resources. We've been actually talking with Auckland University of Technology how to provide textbooks like theses, research papers, and some books to students. It is doable. It requires to build a custom Alexa skill or custom Google action, and then you can access any repository. And throughout our time of operating, we've been always working with blind organizations who are having their own catalog of books. And technically there is a way to play, if it's either audiobooks or if it's a textbooks, there is a way to actually play any catalog through the smart speakers.
And Scott, in your demonstration, you talked about accessing articles in newspapers and journals, magazines, which they themselves have several editions of it. So you must have kind of really addressed and got some experience of that whole navigation challenge for people navigating around all those stories and articles that sit within the content that you serve up.
Yes, we didn't have a lot of time to do that, but yes, you can move quickly from article to article, section to section, or go ahead and move from publication to publication real quickly.
And it feels to me like those sorts of features would also lend themselves to reference material to some extent, or to textbook, which isn't just begin at the beginning and continue reading to the end as you would with a novel. I've got some questions here where people are interested in whether or not you actually need a speaker, a device to be able to gain access to these sorts of services, or whether they're available if you have access to a smartphone. So Joanna and Kieran, could you clarify?
Sure. I was
question,
actually
please.
just wondering if we would have time to get to that question and starting to type an answer. With the Alexa services, no, you don't need to have the actual Echo speaker device in order to get access to the services. As long as you have an Amazon account and you download the Alexa app, whether on iOS or Android or whatever smart device you're using, then you'll have access to the full Alexa services. That even includes things like our Fire TV systems and many other third-party devices that have Alexa integrated. You do not need to have the Echo speaker to access the service.
Same with Google Assistant as well. So there is a lot of Android devices already have the Assistant built in. If not, you can just get it from the Play Store. On iOS, the Google Assistant app is available on the App Store, and you can just download it and use all of the services that are available that I talked about. Plus, the Chrome OS has Chromebooks have Assistant built in, so you'll be able to access these features through there as well, and any of the third-party speakers, smart displays that support the Google Assistant.
This is Scott White. I use the Alexa app on my Windows 10 machine, on my Windows 10 computer, so that works real nicely.
Oh, interesting. That's new information. I want to turn now to Geraldine and to Thomas. Maybe you could finish up with this and bring us back to the end users, as it were. So maybe you could comment on whether folk who are using your library services are using largely speakers, or whether there's a whole mixture of different surfaces people are using. And then I invite you just maybe to tell us a story or give us another insight into the the difference, what is it that smart speakers bring that's different to what we've had before? What is the kind of the unique benefit that they bring to accessible reading? Either Geraldine or Thomas, or both of you.
Okay, it's Geraldine. So we have been sending out speakers to people that contact us. So some people purchase their own, and we also send some out. So it is mainly speakers we're finding that people are using. Some people do it on their phone, and we show people how to do that as well. But I would say it's mainly speakers, and we provide them, and such a sort of inexpensive device that a lot of people have just bought their own and then contacted us wanting to set up our library if they're members. I think with regards to why this is different, I've got to say it's the ease of access. We've had people from the age up to 100 years old are setting it up, and we also have sort of young children who are also, because children are often sort of technology native, so young children are often, their parents are contacting us saying, can we have one to read your library sort of bedtime stories to people. So it seems to appeal to all ages because it's really simple, and it's easy, it's fast, it's instant access. I think people like that. They don't have to wait for a CD to arrive in the post. They're instantly getting access to our library and to content.
And I think that sort of, it's Thomas here, brings us back to sort of my opening, that when I first came across the speaker, it was very much a light bulb moment, thinking that we were moving away from CDs, and the only alternatives at the time were touchscreen devices, and we knew that was going to be a real issue for a lot of our clients who struggle with touchscreen devices, but also would possibly struggle with purchasing them, etc. And having something that you can just ask a question and get an answer, may not always be the answer you're after, but at least the simplicity, no learning of keyboard commands, etc., just made a huge difference. And we're seeing so many people who never were online now being connected and accessing both our library service, but also a whole raft of publicly available information.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for that, and what a great note to finish on. We had some great questions today and took us in some interesting new directions and exposed some possible additional use cases, particularly around access to folks' own personal content or from their own educational institution. Okay, well, look, we're coming to the end of the session. Thank you to everyone who joined us for today's webinar, and thank you for your questions. And Joanna, Kieran, Scott, Thomas, Geraldine, Jarek, and Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful insights and information. Coming up in the next few weeks, we've some more wonderful topics for you. On May the 20th, we have Leveraging InDesign for Accessible EPUB Creation. On May the 27th, we have Accessibility at Apple. And on June the 3rd, well, this will be the second part of our feature exploring the revolution in born accessible digital publications. That session is The Future of Accessible Publishing and Standards, Where Are We Going? You can find out more information at daisy.org/webinars, where you can also sign up to the webinar announcements mailing list to learn about new topics as we add them. If you'd like to suggest a subject, or if you're considering presenting a webinar, then please email us at webinars@daisy.org. I hope you'll join us again next week. In the meantime, thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.